Spool up and strap in. You're watching Simblitz. Today, we're kicking things off with a bang. I'm diving into one of the most talked about releases in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now. The brand new CSS 737 Classic. Today, we're doing a test flight. We're going to be taking the 737 Classic from Brisbane to Sydney to see how capable this aircraft is. Alright, so let's step on board the 737 Classic. Let's get up these stairs and see what it's all about. Now, there is some minor glitching and bugs in this build. Probably by the time you watch this, there might be an update out. But let's take a look around. As you can see, we've got the full cabin here, and it's pretty decent, pretty good. A lot of details. We've got toilets at the back and toilets at the front. But most importantly, let's step up to the flight deck and have a look. Now we're in the flight deck, let's take a look around. You can see the 737 Classic isn't like the NG or the Max. It's really a hybrid of a classic but also modern jet. And there's a bit of a start procedure to get it going here. So I'm going to turn on all the displays here. I'm going to turn up the panel lighting to actually see any of the dials. So right now I'm just turning on the primary flight display, the navigation displays for both the captain and first officer. So get that going here. Alrighty. Now we can see all the gauges are coming alive. Same with the flight management computer. That's a bit of a bug there, that flashing. So as you see, it flashes there. That's probably going to be fixed very shortly. But that's how it should come on, just like that. But I kind of like it. It adds to the CRT display, you know. Kind of makes it feel more retro. Anyway, let's keep setting up the aircraft here. We'll get some IRS aligning. Put the forward pump on for the APU. Fasten seatbelts, no smoking. And we can start entering the position of the aircraft. So this does not have a GPS, the GNS system. It's just the GNSS. So I think they are looking at bringing a GPS variant later. Basically what it means is certain types of approach and departures like RNAV are just not available because the system doesn't support it, which is quite realistic because in this flight management computer it's not there. But anyway, let's potter along. I'm going to quickly go get the route and we'll enter this in. So you're probably wondering why the screen color changed, and Flight Sim crashed because ActiveSky had a tantrum, which I've been having problems with, but I think I fixed it. Anyway, the speeds run through the setup here, just redoing the weight and getting clearances. There's obviously a few caveats at the moment with this aircraft. It's not in a perfect state, but it is impressive. It's flyable, and I enjoy flying it on VATSIM. There's a few quirks at the moment that are getting ironed out, as you'll see in this flight, but for the most part, I love this aircraft. It's so fun to fly. It's awesome. But anyway, let's get to it. Alrighty, so we're just getting pushed back here, so I'm just going to choose a standard pushback. And again, today's flight's nothing amazing. It's more just to put it through its test, see how it goes on just a standard flight. I guess you could say a ferry flight or test flight. But anyway, let's start up the engines here. I'll be quiet so you can listen to them start. Now, obviously the sounds aren't the best. I think everyone can kind of agree on that. They're not horrible, they're not default sounds by any means, but they're also, you know, for the price point, I'd probably expect a little bit better in terms of sounds. The cockpit, the switches, the stick shaker, really good. My only gripes in terms of sounds are the engines, the APU, and the trim wheel. But that's more, the sound isn't synced up with the trim wheel. But anyway, as you can see, we're just getting pulled along onto the taxiway now. Moving forward, yaw damper on. And I gotta switch the pressurization to flight. The big thing with the Classic is obviously there's no automatic pressurization system. It's automatic to a degree, but you still need to select your cruise altitude and your landing altitude and make sure it's pressurized correctly. This isn't done automatically. Anyway, so I'm switching on the probe heat and both packs on, which is a no-no with the APU, but you can see we've got a little screen here.
Unlocking gear.
And there we go. Turn the generators on. APU off. And we can close the bleeds. Recirculation on. Everything's looking good. Temperatures are good. Everything's perfect. You just got to make sure not to have those packs on with the APU because it's not powerful enough to do it. Although in real life you wouldn't have this issue. It is powerful enough to run both packs, but not by much. But the APU in the CSS one is the equivalent of a Roby leaf blower. Anyway, so we've got our taxi clearance, so we'll just wait for them to show us the pin and we'll get out of here. Alrighty, we've got our takeoff clearance, our landing lights on, strobe on, pressurization is good, and we'll just slowly crawl up to the runway here. I'm using the brand new Orbex Brisbane Airport version 2, and I've got to say I'm quite impressed. Compared to version 1 there's a lot of improvements, but it's not quite at the level of I&I Build's rendition. But it's better nonetheless, and it was a rather cheap upgrade of $9 for existing customers, so without further ado, let's hit Toga. Engine stabilized, takeoff thrust set. And 80 knots. And rotate. And one of my favourite things is you really have to fly this aircraft. And being the age it is, there's a good balance of automation and manual, and there's a lot of manual flying you can do with this, and when you do, you really feel the aircraft. Now, today's flight, we're flying into Simblitz, significant significant weather, so we will be really pushing the aircraft to its limits today. But as you can see, we're just a rocket ship out of here. We're flying real quick, real fast. So I'm going to get the autopilot on and try and clean up the aircraft. And I didn't realise it, but I'd missed my waypoint already. So it was on heading select. So quickly fix it up and you'll fly. And this is what I mean by falling behind the aircraft. It happens so quickly. and because there's not a whole lot of automation, you can fall behind it real fast. And I enjoy that aspect, to be honest. It makes it feel very real, and it adds more of a challenge to it. It's a lot more of a challenge than flying the NG or Max series. There's a lot of differences. So again, autopilot on, LNAV and VNAV. There we go. And one of the issues reported at the moment is following LNAV can be hit or miss, in the sense that it will start to follow the flight plan but delay its turn, and when it delays a turn it'll then overcorrect to get back on path, and then you kind of get this oscillation effect that the autopilot has induced. So you'll see that throughout the flight a bit. The team are aware of this and they are fixing it, but as you can see here, we're really in a steep bank. It will put the aircraft on its side to get back on track, and in doing that it'll often overshoot the path and then do the same thing back the other way until eventually it kind of calms down. I find just reselecting direct to will help stabilize it a bit, but it doesn't work every time. It's a bit of a challenge and handful to fly. But as I said, I think the team are working on fixing this in an update very shortly, so I wouldn't stress about that so much. It's not something that happens every flight. It is noticeable when it does happen though. But anyway. So now we're up in the air and I've fallen behind the aircraft. We can start getting all the lights off. So landing light, taxi lights. And we can turn... Well, we are turning. We're turning quite steep again. So this is what I mean. So it can really throw you around a bit, but that's okay. Like I said, these things are very easily fixed, and I'm hoping will be updated very shortly. But anyway, we'll get up onto cruise and we'll talk a bit more about the aircraft in a minute. Alrighty, so let's have a chat. CSS. A lot of people have their own opinion on it, but I'll just say outright my opinion at the moment is I love the aircraft. The team are trying their best to address all the issues, and they're being very, I don't know the right word to say, but they listen to the community and take on the feedback. As much as some people have different experiences, this has been mine so far. I've raised concerns and the team have told me they're looking into it and fixing it, and I'm very hopeful that those things will be fixed, such as the LNAV, the sounds and some texturing. But overall, I love this aircraft. For their first project, it's their first project in flight sim, and the modelling is superb. They've done a real great job. There's some things that obviously need fixing up, but honestly, it's incredible. You know, a team has just put this together. They've had a bit of a rough launch and haven't had the best reaction from the community, but I think they're doing great. It's a real piece of art in the sky. It's unlike anything we really have in 2020 so far. It's so unique and different in the sense that it's a classic retro airliner, but somewhat modern as well. It's at that weird kind of interval. And of course, we got flushable toilets. One of the key points in Flight Simulator now. And honestly, the sounds sound amazing. It's one of the best toilet flushes I've ever heard. We've also got the flight attendants panel and other things. There's so many hidden details. You can arm the slides, you can enter the pin for the cockpit door. There's so many hidden gems in this aircraft. They've done such a great job. But that doesn't also negate the issues that the aircraft has, because it does have a couple at the moment. None are, I'd say, stopping anyone from going on VATSIM or enjoying the aircraft. Some people have had issues with the launcher and getting the aircraft to load correctly. Thankfully, I've yet to encounter anything major like that. But in terms of LNAV and VNAV, it is quite poor at following it at the moment. I wouldn't leave this aircraft unattended for any period of time, because it really can get quite violent to the point where you're 45 degrees of bank and you're getting a stall stick shaker warning because the aircraft's just throwing itself around to try and get back onto path. The textures also need improving, the sounds need improving, but these are things that the team no doubt will fix. And I have full hope that this will be a great product. You know, it's the team's first product and I'm excited to see what the future holds for them. But there are some things that do need to be ironed out. But anyway, we'll move forward. Another thing worth mentioning is probably their subscription service. A lot of people are kind of against it, with some for it, and personally, I think it's a good move in some aspects. It is anti-consumer to have subscription services, and I agree with that fully. When I buy something, I want to own it outright and fully, and be able to use that software or aircraft without having an internet connection or anything else going on. But in the same sense, having the option for $5 to try an aircraft for a month is great, and it'd be something I think if PMDG did, a lot of people would be okay with. I think it's just because the outright price of owning the aircraft is quite a lot higher compared to other people in the market that a lot of people have an issue with, and I can understand that. I do think the team could get it to a point where the value could be worth it, but it's a tricky one. But I personally love the idea of being able to try an aircraft out for a month for $5. For the price of a coffee these days with inflation, it's not a horrible thing. I think it's quite great, and I hope a lot of other developers give the option to rent or try it for a month to see how you like it. I know it's something that Flight Sim 2024 kind of suggested quite a while ago with renting aircraft in the marketplace, and I'd love to see that kind of come true. It's just, if you own the aircraft outright, I think community support is essential. One of the downfalls of 2024, obviously not being able to have the fly-by-wire kind of fix up the 737 MAX is a big issue. So we'll see where we go from this. Anyway, so here we are, finally on the approach, and a bit of a hectic one is the least to say. As you can see, a lot of deflection on the control column, at some point even full deflection each way just to try and keep stable on the approach here. There was quite a big segment between Brisbane and Sydney. The winds were, I think, roughly 20 knot crosswind, variable to 10, so it should in theory not be this hectic. At some points I'm almost falling out of the sky because it just wants to roll over from the winds. As you can see, I'm literally yanking full bank to just stay level. But in some way it's nice to hand fly. It really does feel like a heavy aircraft, other than the fact that you can just get blown out in the wind. It's a real kind of hard one to describe, but either way, here we go. Final, about to touch down finally. I'm exhausted by this point, and I'm terrified 50, of going around.
40, 30, 20, 10.
There we go. Planted it. Not too hard, not too soft, perfect. Aim for 150. All over the runway a bit as we're trying to stay in center line with the winds. Everything went rather uneventful after this. It was just a taxi to the gate, and Beyond ATC sent us over to Terminal 4 for whatever reason, and that's that. But honestly, I love this aircraft. It is such a fun aircraft to fly. Don't get me wrong, it has its quirks, it has bugs that need to be fixed, and it can be a lot to handle in the winds. Like, as you've seen, a real lot to handle. Performance has been hit and miss as well. I've got quite a decent system, so it handles pretty well. I get between 30 to 40 FPS with traffic on, but in the same context with PMDG and Phoenix, I'll probably be getting close to 60 to 80, it depends. But either way, performance is reportedly going to be fixed soon, along with other bugs, and I'm really excited for the updates to come. I think the team have done a great job with this aircraft, and I look forward to seeing where it goes from here. And I hope you guys found this informative. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Someone's going to call maintenance about this. I don't know who's going to tell the company, but we're going to be grounded for a while. That's an expensive fix.